I don't know if you know about this, but there's actually different iron rods that are actually set at different points, okay, in your property, and you'll find them at different times. Have you ever noticed those gray hitching post type things that you see by roads and so forth? Those are all going back to that kind of a system, okay? But your architectural and all this stuff for surveyors, sometimes they're hidden, sometimes they're not, but now it's all GIS enabled, it's all satellite enabled, so you can find this stuff. And so what will happen is you get your site plan. Now you're actually going to be having a class with Professor Holly on week number 8 where you're going to talk about site plans and how those work and actually so you're talking about your landscaping, you're talking about your plumbing that's in the ground, you know, it's like your easements for electricity, stuff like that. All that is part of your site plan. So that's going to happen there. Now the next thing you got to do is you have to figure out how am I going to make my building stand up? How am I going to make it stay someplace? If you build on sand, it's not going to last, you know, so you got to dig a foundation. Okay, foundations are something that you can have anything from a plain slab foundation to a basement to a crawl space to something even more so. Right now what they're doing in London, I don't know if you heard about this, but London is so heavily populated. I was there this summer and it is dense. So people that already have property, what they're doing right now is instead of going up, they've gone up as far as they can because the zoning, they're going down now. So they're making sub-basements and sub-basements beyond that, making these beautiful spaces down way, way in the ground. It's crazy. And they come with a new technology to actually burrow underneath existing places. It's weird, it's crazy, but they're doing that. But anyway, so your foundation plan, for those of you that are working right now in Professor Holly's class, you're learning right now different things that are going to make a building stay up and so forth. Part of that's going to be the foundation, concrete. You guys are going to learn about materials and soils and so forth. And that's all part of this right here. So your foundation plan, when it comes to what we're going to do, we're just going to do kind of a really simple kind of a version of what a foundation plan is, but include the basic elements. Now, once you got your foundation plan, and the house that I built used a permanent wood foundation, which you probably never heard of because they're not common. But a permanent wood foundation is literally, what we did is we dug a big hole in the ground, poured a cement cap, and that's all the concrete that was in the building. Then on top of that, we put down womanized or pressure-treated lumber, you know, double steel plate all the way around the perimeter, and went straight up with womanized lumber all the way up, and then basically wrapped it with sheeting that was also pressure-treated. So the whole thing was waterproof wood all the way around. We cut windows in the basement, and basically that's how we made it, permanent wood foundation. That's how we did it. So that's going to be your foundation plan. Usually around here it's going to be a poured basement or a block basement is what you're going to have almost all the time. So there's going to be concrete or concrete block or poured concrete. Another thing they're doing right now, which is quite interesting, a friend of mine does this up in Clayton. Dan Byers is his name. And what he does, there's this thing where they actually have plastic and foam blocks that are insulated. And what they do is they lay these out, they're called a new Jura blocks. And they're laid into the ground and so forth. And once they're in place, it's almost like, you know, putting like hollow Legos in, and then they pour concrete in the top. And it basically fills up that cavity. So now you got this big old thick wall of insulation on both sides, and then you got this concrete inside of it. So that's another technique that's going on. So these are all foundations. So now you get to the floor plan. Now this is where, when we talk about drawing, usually is what we're thinking in terms of. I'm thinking about a floor plan. I'm thinking about right now in terms of what does it look like, and what am I going to have? What's my flow going to be like? Where's my bathroom going to be? Where's my deck going to? Where am I going to walk off to my deck? Where's my garage situated? That's all floor plan information. And the drawing that I just handed out to you is a floor plan. This is a very simple floor plan of a single-story building with the basic elements in it. I didn't even put a kitchen in there, but it's just kind of a basic thing. It doesn't have a bathroom because we do need a bathroom. You can live without food by just going out to McDonald's all the time, I guess. But the thing is, but the floor plan is going to be the next thing. So the floor plan is what we're going to focus on tonight. The next thing you've got is an elevation plan. Now, what's an elevation plan? An elevation plan are those plans you're actually seeing a building from the outside. When you look at it, you basically would see the sides of the building, the siding, the roof peak. That's an elevation. And you're typically going to, how many elevations would you need for a typical building? Think about it. How many sides? What? Okay, you said 2. Okay, think about it though. 4. Why 4? There's 4 sides usually that you're going to take a look at a building. Now you might need more depending upon the look of the building, but typically it's going to be 4. It's going to be the north, south, east, and west elevations what you're going to take a look at most often. All right, what's going to happen is if you're taking a look, like I've got a house in Fairport, and that house faces the west. Okay, so if I was gonna do that, there's a west elevation, meaning that as you take a look at it, you know, if I'm facing east, I'm looking at the elevation facing west. So as I take a look at it, I basically took a look at what I've got, and I've got that look. Then I go over to the next side, looking at it from the north, I see it from this view. Going back this way, I'm looking at it from the east. Going back this way, I'm looking at it from to the south. And so you get the idea. But the thing is, that's what elevations are. So elevations are, when you're doing any kind of engineering graphics, which is what this is, you basically, you have what's called orthographic projection, okay? And basically what you're talking is a top, a front, and a side view of everything, top, front, and side. Now, if I'm looking down at my floor plan, that'd be my top view. You're looking down at your top view. Your front and side would be your elevations. Okay, that's what it would take a look at. So with all these drawings when they're put together, it gives you a representation of what that building, that structure is going to look like. And it can be very, very complicated, very, very simple. As we get onto the Revit side of things, we're actually going to make a garage, a custom garage, and then we're going to make a residential house. So that's what we're going to do here. Then you've got the section plan. The section plan is essentially, if you were to take that building right there, if you were to take essentially an elevation, you're taking a look at the elevation, and you were to slice it halfway through. You were to take a chainsaw to build a house and go a straight line all the way across, and then take a look at it. That's what your section is. And that's where you would actually see your wall sections. There's wall sections as well as other sections. But anytime you're going to take something apart and look at it, that's a sectional view. So there's sections. And then electrical plan, that's pretty clear, and a plumbing plan. We're not going to get that far, but these are essentially what are going to be part of the construction document set. We are now going to look at the floor plan. Site work will come later, foundation plan we'll get to as well. But floor plan, because the way we think tends to be the most approachable, we're going to work with the floor plan right now. Any questions about that? Okay, so moving on here, we've got these. You might want to write these down. There is a quiz on it. Not really hard. Again, my quizzes are basically just to reinforce things we're already doing. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go into here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my floor plan drawing. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to make sure that I've got my content. Because Professor Brennan said that there are templates out here. So let me see if he told the truth. I hope I did. So here I've got the floor plan one assignment, which Shazam is right there in basically monochrome. And so if I go back a step here and take a look here, you notice I got floor plan one assignment, and then I got floor plan one what? Template. So I download the template, and the template comes down here. It's predictably called floor plan one drawing template. If I just double click on it, it opens up AutoCAD because it's already open, but I don't want to do that because it's too dangerous. What I want to do instead is I want to download it. It's going to be my downloads directory. So there's floor plan one template. And so where am I going to save it? I'm going to save it up to my S drive just so I can access it in the future. So I go into here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a new template here. Let me go to, when I do this, I'm going to right click and go to new folder, and I'll just go ahead and say drawing templates, like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and open it there. Then I'm going to save it in there. Boom. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop it in there, Control E. And I just saved it in there. Floor plan one drawing template. Okay, we all see it now? We all know where it's at. And it's in my photo class because I'm a student, so just saving it out there. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go to new. And where am I going to look for my template? My own S drive, because I saved it there. Okay, and I got it from Blackboard. So I go to here, and there it is, drawing templates, floor plan one drawing template. So we open it up. Now what's in here? Let's take a look. Well, kind of like I said, there's these different viewports, or rather these different layers. I've got walls, which is brown, windows are green. P-fix is usually going to be cyan, and doors are red. And I left dimensions white, so they show up as black on this particular drawing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do right here, I also have a dimension style in here, which we'll get to. So now, if I was going to start this drawing, I would start with my current layer, which would be walls. So starting here, I'm going to start with a polygon. You'll also notice down here, my coordinates are set up. I'm now looking really good as far as like with, got my architectural units going. So I'll start out with a polyline. And going from the exterior, let's take a look at our drawing. We're going to draw the top line. What is the distance, the length of the top line? 35 feet, so I took the 35 in the foot mark, and you notice that I didn't have to zoom out. Why? Because Professor Brennan got you a template, and so you don't have to do that, so it's less confusing. And now we go down here, and what's my next dimension going down on the right? 25 feet, right? And then going down this way, now we have a little jog that goes on here. So what's my first distance? 14 feet 3 inches. And you'll notice, by the way, that I have what are called incremental measurements, which are like the distances inside, and also that tell us where the windows are. And then I also have overalls that are actually around the edges. So there's just several different sets of dimensions to make it a little easier. How far do I come out?
3 feet.
No.
How far?
3.
3 feet.
3 feet.
Yes.
3 feet. And then what's my distance here?
2 feet.
7 feet.
7 feet, right? And then we go back. What's the distance back here?
3 feet.
No, well, going back.
3 feet.
3 feet again. Okay, and then in this distance, how far are we going? 13 foot. Now, yeah, someone said that, so we just jumped ahead. And then to close it, how do I close it? How do I close it? I right click and I choose close, or I type in C. Exactly. All right, now that I have this done, I click on it and I'm going to ask it what it is, and it is a what?
Polyline.
It's a polyline. Okay, so I have a polyline. If I want to check my dimensions, I hold my cursor here. It tells me, oh, okay, that's 25 feet and 35 feet that way, so we're good to go. I go here. It tells me 14 feet 3 on that side, and 3 feet this way. And then over this side, tells me we're 13 foot 9. So we're looking pretty good. We're looking real good. So always check for your dimensions before you go any further. Make sure you got them right before you progress. Now, because I did this, what is my wall width? 5 inches. Okay, so what command would I use to make a copy of my polyline, an exact, basically so it fits inside my other one? What's that? Offset. And the shortcut to offset is the letter O. O, enter. All right? Now, specify offset distance or through. What's my offset distance? 5. So just type in 5. And I go click here. Do I click in or out? In, exactly.
Why did you have to specify inches?
What's that?
Why did you have to specify inches?
You don't specify inches when you're doing architectural because it's assumed. It's assumed. Unless you put in feet, it thinks you want to put in inches. So you don't have to put, you can put in inches if you want, it's just more typing in. I'm against doing more work than I have to. The whole purpose, and please remember this, the whole purpose of doing CAD is what? To not do any work. The whole purpose of CAD is to do as little work as possible. And so if you're doing too much work and you're figuring out Pythagorean theorems and hypotenuses and stuff like that, you're not using CAD right, okay? It does all that for you. I personally, math is not my thing. I've done enough math to run my business and do stuff like that, and I'm pretty good with math and the basics. I didn't have much use for algebra, except when I did some coding for a while. That was about it. It's not my thing. Let CAD do the work for you, you know, and the thing is, so it will do it very, very nicely. So when we're talking about this next thing, so you know, for that right there, so we let AutoCAD close it, and now we're in good shape. So now we see that this is looking pretty good here. So the next thing that we would do is we want to start putting our partitions, which are these different walls, okay? So we continue to stay on here. Now I'll show you how to use AutoCAD. Now let me point out a couple things here. There's 2 commands here, which I think, you know, I almost told you to turn them off, but you've got grid mode and you got snap mode. I'm just gonna explain what they are really quickly, because some of you have run into this already. If you start your line command, and let's say I click on a point,